Hello and welcome to today's Up to Thrive Manage Your Mind Mindful Moment.
Welcome to Up to Thrive, your go-to podcast for women's wellness in midlife, designed to educate, support, and inspire you to live your very best life. And now your host, Dr. Karina Sims.
I was reflecting recently on how every day I am reminded of how much our own minds can make us suffer. I see it in my patients, I see it in my friends, I see it in myself. One of the ways that this used to show up for me was at work in between patients. So there's about a 10 or 20 second walk to the waiting room for me as I go to collect the next patient. And quite often I would just out of nowhere have this thought, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm bored. How many more patients do I have to see today? Oh, and then I would just have this sense of dread and I would be tired and it would just put me kind of in a foul mood. See, the thing about me is that I always have gotten bored quite easily, no matter what I'm doing. In fact, when I played softball back in America, I played softball for many years, and I had to play first base because I had to be involved in every single play. And I wasn't a pitcher, and I wasn't a catcher either. I couldn't stand the thought of someone swinging a bat in front of my face. Although I loved the idea of trying to get into someone's head and talk a bit of smack. But, I couldn't get over the not wanting the bat swung in front of my face. So first baseman, so I can be part of every play. Otherwise, anywhere else, I would just fall asleep. So I know that about myself, and so it's nothing personal. It would be anything that I was doing for any period of time that I would get bored. And really, the thing I love most about my job, and I don't even want to call it a job because it's really a privilege to me. As a rural GP, I am a part of people's lives, and I have the privilege of sharing in their innermost worlds, like what's happening in their lives, their sorrows, their joys. And I have the privilege of being part of that. They share with me things that they might not share with anyone else on the planet. And I love the connection that I have with my patients. So as soon as they're in my room and we're sitting back down, I forget about the thought of, I don't want to be here, I'm bored. So I would unnecessarily make myself suffer with these thoughts, right? But then the thought could cloud that relationship sometimes. So I decided that I was done with that thought. So I started to be mindful on the way to the waiting room. So I'm at an age now where I wear very comfortable shoes. My feet are pretty much destroyed by those old 80s pumps that we used to wear with those really pointy toes and the high heels. And now the thought of that is seriously like torture, just even the thought of wearing those shoes. So I wear very comfortable shoes. And I started the practice of just focusing on the way that my feet felt in my shoes as I took that walk to the waiting room to collect the next patient. My shoes are so comfortable, and it was almost like having a massage because it felt so nice. And I would actually pay attention to, the heel toe. And when I say would, I actually still do this. As soon as I am aware that my brain is going to a place that is causing me suffering, like worrying about someone or something, or being anxious or being bored or feeling dread or anything that took me away from where I needed to be ready for the next person so I could give them my best, I'll bring myself back to my feet in my shoes. And I do that on the way there. And I do that as I lead them back to my room. I never ask them how they are in the corridor because I want to sit down and look at them in the eye and really listen to what they have to say in a space where they feel safe to do that. That is one of the most important parts of my job, and the part that I love the most is that connection. So if you find yourself in a place where your thoughts are causing you to suffer, I suggest that one of the strategies that you can use to manage that is by going into your body and feeling how it feels, whether that's a movement or just sitting and being present with how your body feels, how your feet feel on the floor, how they feel in your shoes. There's something called a body scan. So if you had time to just sit for even 30 seconds and start with your toes and slowly work your way up to your ankles, up your calves, your knees, your thighs, your bum, your belly, and then I work my way from my fingertips to my wrists, to my elbows, to my shoulders. And as I'm going, I'm actually just releasing and relaxing every muscle group. I work my way up my neck, into my jaw, the muscles around my mouth and around my eyes, and through my scalp and back down my back. Because what I often find when I do a body scan is that I'm holding a lot of tension around my mouth, in my face, especially through my shoulders. So trying to remember to release my shoulders away from my ears. So a couple of practices that you might want to try when your brain is taking you to a place that's not really helpful, that's not serving you. I hope you've enjoyed this Manage Your Mind mindful moment. And if you have, and you can think of someone else who might enjoy it, please pass it on. And don't forget to rate and review the podcast to make it more visible to those who might get something out of it too. Have a great week, everyone. And until then, I hope you opt to thrive.
The Opt to Thrive podcast is designed for information purposes only and is not engaged in the giving of medical advice. The information provided on the podcast should not be used for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease. In no way should the information provided by Opt to Thrive be considered medical advice, and at all times the advice of a medical professional should supersede recommendations from Opt to Thrive. If you have or suspect you may have a health problem, you should consult your healthcare provider. The views expressed in this podcast are purely that of Dr. Sims and do not in any way reflect those of the institutions she contracts for medical services to.
Thank you for listening to Opt to Thrive. If you've enjoyed listening, please rate and share the podcast. You can visit our website at opttothrive.com and leave a comment for any subjects you would like to hear more about.